Hey Year 11, right now we're going to do 9i, which is weighted graphs, networks, and the shortest path problem. Now, if we look at what I've got drawn here, this is just a graph. Now, we should be pretty familiar with this sort of stuff. We can see that it's got a certain amount of vertices, it's got a certain amount of edges as well, and there's different connections around the place. But if we move over here, this is slightly new. So you can still see the same shape graph, except with this one, do you see how each of the edges has been given a certain value? So this one here is 10, this one here is 2, etc. Now, when each of the edges are given a certain value, that's called a weighted graph. Okay, so the new thing that we're seeing is the values that have been given. Now, I want to go to the word network. Now, I've been using the word network to talk about these sort of things, like these shapes, these graphs, but I haven't technically been correct. Now, if you want to get technical, a network is a weighted graph that represents a real world scenario. So with this weighted graph here, it doesn't say anything about the real world, does it? It's just random letters and numbers all over the place. So what I've done is I've taken this graph and I've turned it into something that is more of a real world scenario. So what you can see here, I've grabbed that graph and I've made it like a bit of a bird's eye view map. Like you're sort of looking from above. It's like you're looking at Google Maps or something like that. So as you can see, what I've done is for each of these vertices, I've assigned a place. So in the middle, we've got Lilydale. Up here, we've got Yarra Glen. Over here, we've got Healesville, etc. Now, what I've done is I've shown the time that it might take, and I've just made these numbers up. I've shown the time that it might take to get between these different places. Okay, so I've shown all of these in minutes. Potentially another one could show the amount of kilometers between these places. You're going to see different networks that might talk about dollar values, but this one here, we're talking about minutes. Now, I've actually written minutes here. You might not necessarily get that in other questions. It might just have a number, and then next to it, it'll tell you, oh, the numbers represent dollars, the numbers represent kilometers, etc. Okay. Now, when we're given networks like this, often what we're asked to do is find the shortest path. Now, what that means is you might want to get from one vertice to another one and kind of accumulate the lowest number. Okay, so for example, if you want to get from Croydon to Yarra Glen, you can go straight there. It'll take you 25 minutes. You could also go from here to here and then back to there, and that total is going to be 25 minutes as well. You could even go over here, then there, then there. That's going to take a bit longer. That's going to be 28 minutes. Do you see how each of the paths have a different value? So often you're going to be asked to find the path that's the shortest, so it has the lowest value. Okay, which is what we're going to do with these couple of examples here. All right, so it says, find the shortest path from Croydon to Healesville. How long will the shortest path take? Now, we want to get from Croydon to Healesville, yeah? So there's not just one route. Obviously, we can go straight through the middle, so go to Lilydale, then Healesville. We could go to Yarra Glen, then Healesville. We could go to Montrose, then Healesville. So we've got a few different options. We just want to find the one that is the shortest. So if we go Croydon to Yarra Glen to Healesville, so I'm going to show that down here. Croydon, Yarra Glen, Healesville. That's going to take us 25 minutes plus 15 minutes, so that's 40 minutes. We could also go from Croydon to Lilydale to Healesville, so we could show that as Croydon, Lilydale, Healesville, and that's going to take us 35 minutes. Or we could go from Croydon to Montrose to Healesville. So Croydon, Montrose, Healesville, and that's going to take us 7 plus 30, which is 37 minutes. Now, we were asked to find the shortest path. So it looks like, from what we've done here, the shortest path is this one here. So Croydon to Lilydale to Healesville is the shortest path from Croydon to Healesville. Okay, so let's do another one. So this one here, they've given us a couple of different locations. Find the shortest path from Montrose to Yarra Glen. How long will the shortest path take? Now, with this one here, you don't necessarily have to do what I've done over here. This is a pretty simple network. There'll be others that look a bit more complicated. So because this one's simple, I'm not going to worry about writing this stuff out again. So find the shortest path from Montrose to Yarra Glen. Okay, we want to go from here to here. So if I go that way, it's going to be 45 minutes. If I go that way, it's going to be 32 minutes. If I go that way, it's going to be 21. So obviously I want to go the shortest, which is that way there. So the shortest path is from Montrose to Lilydale to Yarra Glen, and that's going to take 21 minutes.